One Piece will go down as one of the best shonen anime ever created. Based on Ichiro Oda's long-running and equally celebrated manga, it features a comical yet thematically rich story full of amazing action sequences, heartfelt moments, godlike beings, and some of the most wholesome characters this side of Disney.
We're gonna find the One Piece.
Capturing all of that in an entirely different style of filmmaking would take a tremendous effort, something proven by the uneven handling of the pirate adventure's most cherished characters in a new live-action adaptation from Netflix.
Luffy, they are hunting you!
The first season of the streaming giant's One Piece remake presents a condensed retelling of Oda's magnum opus. While the story still centers on a young upstart named Monkey D. Luffy and his crew's search for a mysterious treasure needed to crown the next pirate king, aka the One Piece, its contents are too elaborate to be stuffed into 8-hour-long episodes. One Piece tries to incorporate a vast amount of Luffy's origin story into a single season. How he acquired the ability to stretch his body like a rubber band, the formation of his crew, the Straw Hat Pirates, and their initial voyage on the sea route known as the Grand Line. One Piece fans will recognize these as the broad strokes of the East Blue Saga, a story told across 44 episodes of the anime and 95 chapters of the manga. They'll also recognize that it would be impossible for all that plot to be trimmed down to fit into a Netflix show. Unfortunately, the adaptation doesn't fully commit to its restructuring. Instead, it floats somewhere in the middle, trying to tell an abridged story while also including as much fan service as possible. A character's backstory might be shared via flashback, but the more intimate encounters needed to properly establish important facets of their adult selves are absent. An otherwise impactful line from the previous versions of One Piece sounds deflated.
No one messes with my friends.
Its significance dulled by context that's either only hinted at or outright omitted. Thanks to a quickened pace that emphasizes big, memorable moments over character development, most of the earnest interactions between the cast feel unearned. This One Piece struggles to be its own thing because it keeps trying to be the anime. That doesn't prevent the show from being entertaining. This first season does a solid job of establishing the unique characteristics of its world, the ever-shifting power dynamics of the various pirate and governmental factions, and the intrinsic harshness of a planet dominated by several large oceans. The action sequences are delightfully over the top, like a violent version of Peter Pan in which characters are thrown through walls, bludgeoned to death, or cut in half. The visual effects used to showcase Luffy's elastic appendages, giant sea creatures, and other oddities are all visually pleasing. None of them compare to the practical effects though. The show is worth watching for its amazing pirate ship sets alone. The same can be said of the talented cast, who ground their characters while maintaining their campy and sometimes corny vibe. Inaki Godoy's enthusiastic portrayal of Luffy is shockingly believable. Though he comes off as a subdued version of his animated counterpart, his gee-whiz energy, comical mannerisms, and spot-on delivery of fan-favorite lines help to embody the sometimes clueless yet always heroic pirate.
And I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Jacob Romero does a great job playing Luffy's friend and crewmate, the cowardly Usopp. Usopp is one of the characters most impacted by One Piece constrictions, but in Romero's hands, his tall tales and selfless actions should still resonate with fans and newcomers alike. McKinney certainly looks the part of Rorona Zoro, especially when playing opposite of Godoy and during fight scenes, but his stiff take on the bounty hunter turned Straw Hat is a little off-putting. It just feels mechanical at times, as if he were so determined to showcase Zoro's aloofness, he forgot to exhibit any other side of the character. Fortunately, when he does get to exhibit emotions like sadness, anger, or regret, he does so to great effect. Taz Schuyler, on the other hand, always puts on a charming display as Sanji. His ability to quickly go from reluctant warrior to compassionate yet abrasive ally, notably when dealing with Zoro, solidifies his role as the Straw Hat's beloved cook. But One Piece's major standout is Emily Rudd's portrayal of Nami. Her knack for showcasing the navigator's toughest nails attitude with a mischievous slant that hints at past trauma is always captivating. That said, it's her passionate display of emotion when confronted by friend or foe that breathes life into the character. Thanks to Rudd, it's easy to believe that Nami cares about those around her, even when her actions prove otherwise. Netflix's One Piece strives to recreate the magic of its source material in live action, but this requires jettisoning some pieces of the plot. This creates an interesting variation of the long-running manga and anime that works in parts, and the Netflix series is at its best when it charts its own path in response to the changes made by showrunner Matt Owens and the writing staff. Unfortunately, instead of committing fully to this retelling, One Piece constantly sails back into familiar waters and fan service, muddying the experience. It's a shame considering most of the other aspects, from the visual and practical effects to wild action scenes and endearing casts, work well together. While this live-action version does an admirable job of showcasing the spirit of One Piece, its abridged treatment of the plot removes most, if not all, of its heart.
That went pretty well. Don't you think?
For more TV reviews, check out what we thought of the Ahsoka premiere, Secret Invasion, and The Witcher Season 3. And for everything else, stick with IGN.